Hi, I'm here with Ethan Austin, president of Give Forward. Ethan, please tell me what your company does.
Sure. So we give people online fundraising pages to raise money for their loved ones' out-of-pocket medical expenses. So if my buddy is sick and has cancer and he has bills that aren't going to be covered by insurance, I could set up a page for him, kind of like a Facebook profile or a LinkedIn profile, pictures and his story, and I can take that link and send it out to friends and family across the world. They can contribute with their credit card and leave words of support on the page for him so he knows he's not going at it alone.
Okay, and what gave you the idea to start this company?
Sure, it was actually my co-founder, Desiree. She was at the Kauffman Foundation after Hurricane Katrina, and she was thinking, why can't you give to individuals as opposed to just giving to like the Red Cross? And it really kind of struck her, and she said, well, you should be able to do that. And later on, she wanted to create this business. And from there, she said, well, how am I going to raise money for this business? And she thought maybe an online fundraising page. She said, maybe that's a better idea than this business I wanted to start. So she really started to think really about small scale donors and how you can help individuals. And a couple months later, I came into the mix. I met her through a mutual friend. They introduced us, and we just instantly clicked. And I moved to Chicago a couple months later to start it with her.
Okay, great. Can you give me a use case of how your services have impacted your clients?
Yeah, so we've helped people raise, now close to $33 million for their friends and loved ones out-of-pocket medical expenses. So, we've had people who have, needed a surgery and it's literally they didn't have the money for the surgery. They may have been maxed out on their insurance and they wouldn't have got the surgery without it. So it's saved their lives. So, or we just had someone recently who couldn't hear at all, and she got cochlear implants, and it cost like $15,000 for the cochlear implants, and she could hear for the very first time, and she sent us the video of how she was able to hear for the very first time, and everyone's crying, and it was, pretty incredible. So we get stories like that all the time.
Wow, that's amazing. And Ethan, tell me, what are some tactics you use to really push your company forward in, the first few months of operation?
I would say I wouldn't use those as any type of success stories, because I think the very first few months of operations were very, very slow for us. We didn't really have any clue what we're doing. We have a slightly better understanding of what we're doing now, but back then we would try everything and anything. We reached out to sororities and fraternities. We reached out to nonprofits. We would try blogging to create SEO. We would do all sorts of things. I don't think any of the tactics in the first few months were particularly successful. To be honest, when we first started, we were fundraising for anything. If you wanted to raise money for a scholarship fund, or if you wanted to raise money for a nonprofit or for a church or for any cause. And it took us a while actually to kind of hit our stride and find out that medical fundraisers were kind of where we had a real sweet spot. And until that point, things were kind of slow. So I don't know if I have any great secrets or tactics for you.
That's okay. However, what are some tactics that you use now, or some methods that you started using that kind of, pushed your company forward?
Yeah,
that you currently use that are successful for you.
Right. So now we have a much more sophisticated mix of tactics. It's not, in the beginning, some days it would be like literally me running around in a banana costume, handing out flyers to people, telling them about our company. Now, we do digital marketing, right? We do paid search, SEO, we do Google display and remarketing and things like that. We also reach out to hospitals across the country and talk to their social workers. We talk to their patient navigators and get them to partner with us. So we're working with, close to 200 hospitals around the country to try and have them promote us to the patients there. So that's really, some of the channels we're working through now.
Great. Tell me how your services compare with some of your competitors.
Yeah, so I think the one thing that really distinguishes us from our competitors, and when we started this, it was 2008, and the word crowdfunding didn't even exist. Kickstarter hadn't started yet, and it wasn't really something that was, very kind of common at that time. And today, there's probably over 500 crowdfunding sites, and we see crowdfunding sites popping up, left and right. But I think, in large part, a lot of the platforms are somewhat similar. But I think what really distinguishes us and why we've been able to become kind of a leader in this space is because we provide one-on-one fundraising coaching to each of our users, and more so than that, so a lot of these people have never, started a fundraising page before. They don't know what they're doing, but we've always had this idea of cultivating through compassion, and we actually care. And people come through our site and don't just have an interaction with a website, but they understand that there's humans behind this website. And so we've always been very, very high touch. And I think that ends up showing in the loyalty we have with our users, and then end up telling so many of their friends and family about us, having, created more users from that.
Great. And what is one thing that you really attribute to your success as a company?
I would say just the fact that we went for it. When we started the page, my co-founder Desiree, she has a magnet on her fridge that says "Leap and the net will appear." And I think so many people are afraid to kind of start something, or just try something out. When we started the website, it was so horrendous that I can't believe anyone would actually trust their money to donate on it, or start a fundraising page on it. But we tried it out, and we kind of put it out there and improved upon it over time, and it became better and better and better. And I think most companies or most people, it's really hard to put yourself out there and trust that everything's going to be okay. So I credit that to my partner, who that was her philosophy, and we've really kind of run with that.
Cool. Ethan, tell me your predictions for your company in the next year.
Sure. So in the next year, we want to, by the end of 2014, we want to become the first resource people think of when a loved one is sick. When everyone's asking, when someone gets sick and everyone's asking, well, what can I do to help? We want the obvious answer to be, of course, I'm going to start a Give Forward page. So we're working towards that in the next year. We've been growing. We tripled last year, we tripled the year before, and we tripled the year before. We expect to do that again this year and really grow and become what was once a transactional website. We're really looking to become more of a brand and become a bigger player in this market space.
Great. Do you have any methods that you plan on using to continue expanding?
Just the ones that we're doing right now. We're continuing our hospital outreach and getting deeper and deeper into the healthcare space.
Great. Well, Ethan, I know you're busy, so I thank you so much for meeting with me. And if you're interested in learning more about Give Forward and connecting with Ethan, go to fundology.com.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.